right, bang, bang. We are back for another week of PGA. We got Price, we got Dustin. We're here to make some money. It's the week before the Masters, but the money, green money is green money. It doesn't matter what week it is. If you make money this week, you're going to be just as happy. I promise you that. But Price, explain to us, where are we located? We are in our home state of Texas,
H-Town.
Houston, baby.
All right, it's the Vivint Houston Open. It's going to be played at Memorial Park Golf Course. It's a long par 72, so it's over 7,400 yards. You got 5 par 5s, 5 par 3s. One of the par 5s is like 650 yards, so no one's getting home in two. Two of them, you have to be like DJ to get home in two. The other two people will reach. The par 3s, there's 3 of them that are over 200 yards, so that will be a little bit tricky for the guys. Conditions, it's going to be nice. In the high 60s, high 70s, light wind. It's on Bermuda grass, so that's very prevalent in Texas. So most guys who play on the Texas swing are used to that. And we actually have a decent field. So the nice thing is having a decent field when we transition into, using our models. It's actually good golfers. You don't have to worry about someone like Brendan Todd being the top guy in the field.
So, Price, what are some of the key metrics to our model this week?
So the main thing I'm really going to look at to weigh heavily this week as opposed to the other weeks is par 5 scoring because there's 5, par 3 scoring because there's 5, and then really off the tee. That's very important at this course. The rough is supposed to be pretty thick, so you want to have guys who are getting strokes off the tee and then taking advantage of the par 5s and the par 3s.
So, Dustin, whenever you look at the model and doing the par 5s and par 3s, what's a couple golfers that are standing out to you early on?
I mean, obviously DJ is a bomber that he is obviously going to stand out. And so, I mean, more for me, the longer hitters, Brooks Koepka type, his putting's been so bad. That's kind of what's kept him down this year for the most part. Obviously, he had some injuries and stuff, but obviously the long hitters, and then you got the guys that start to sprinkle in there that are good at the par 3s, right? So kind of an interesting course this week because it does factor in a little bit of everything. It's not just a bunch of short par 5s like Price said. There's some really long ones in there. So just kind of a unique course layout. So I think the model can really kind of bring that cohesiveness together to figure out who you really want to drill down on.
Yeah, for sure. I think, go ahead, Bryce.
I was going to say, so you touched on DJ, someone who rates fantastic, who I will also say he's going to be one of our top value plays of the week, is going to be Denny McCarthy at 7,900. He rates out first for me in the par 3 scoring the last 12 rounds and 5th in par 5 scoring. And he's also 16th in DK points and 1st in putting. So the dude just flat out scores for us.
Yeah, another golfer that stands out when you look at the par 5 scoring or par 3 scoring 200 to 225 yards is Jordan Spieth. He's actually 6th on both categories. Top 10s at his price point, as we'll get to, is someone that you're looking at. Once again, par 5 and long par 3s is where he's making some good money. So that's what's standing out to me early on. But let's transition to the fades of the week.
So I'll go just one from each range. Fading Hideki. I am fading Hovland. Literally fading everyone in the AK range except Spieth. So that's not really, A guy who I think will be popular in the 7K range because he always is, that I'm not going to touch, is Eric Van Rooyen. And then someone who I would expect to be fairly popular in the 6K range would be Max Homa, and I'm not going to play him. What about you, D?
Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback on you a little bit at the top. Decky, I'm fading. I might fade Finau next if I had to pick another one, but going down to the 9K range, I'm going to fade Mr. Sergio because Price wants to take him next week at the Masters. So I hope he does bad this week. 8K range, Lowry. Just doesn't check a lot for me this week. 7K, I'm going to fade Mackenzie Hughes. And then 6, just take your pick. I mean, what about you, Chris?
Man, I think I'm going to completely fade all of the 10K plus range. I know Dustin Johnson is probably a very, very big play for a lot of people, including Dustin and Price. And I'm going to have shares of him in my MME builds, but everybody in this 10K plus range, I'm going to be fading. Hatton is the absolute fade of the week. I cannot believe he's rated at 10-3. He's the type of caliber player, in my opinion, that you'll see around like a Sanjay M or an Adam Scott around the lower 9K range. So I think he's really overpriced. And then if you keep going down, someone who did really good, except for on Sunday, was Doc Redman, who was in our cash lineups, made us some money, but faded. I do not like him this week. He's rating 108 in par 3 that we're tracking the 200 to 225. He is doing pretty good. He does rate well for par 5s, but his putting is also atrocious and his approach game as well. So that's another notable fade that I feel like could get a little popular. And someone that I want to mention, because if you know me, I love, is Sammy Burns, and I'm going to fade him as well at 7,500. Once again, the key metrics that I'm looking at this week, that we're looking at this week, is par 3 scoring, 200 to 225, and he's rated 100. Also, his around the green game is just atrocious. So I'm going to be fading Sammy Burns.
I dig it.
All
right.
Well,
so now get into a little construction for rosters in this course. So you said you're going to fade the entire 10K range, which means for GPPs, are you going to load up 3 guys in the 9K range?
yeah, I think there's a ton of value up there in the 9K range, and I would definitely do that.
Because I think this is a good tournament to go balance build, but there's also a couple constructions where you can go like DJ at 11, Henley at 9,400, then drop down to like Denny or Grillo at 7,900, and still keep everything else in the 7K range because there's some good value down there. So I think that'd be a nice way to attack GPP. And then obviously cash is going to be a little bit different. That's usually going to be more up Dustin's alley than ours, but
yeah, I think the balance build is the way to go, especially with I feel like some of these, Tony Finau 10-9. I don't know, it just seems a little pricey. And so I don't like the stars and scrubs build as much. I think next week you could do a little bit more of that. This week, I think the balance build, the 9K range is loaded, and I think the 7K range is loaded as well. So that's the approach I'm going for. But this is where Dustin shines. He's our cash game guru, and he can find value. So let's go over some value plays of the week. The one value play I'm going to touch on before I pass over to Dustin is I said him a little earlier, is our boy Jordan Spieth, ranked number 6 in par 5s, ranked number 6 in par 3s, and he rates actually number 1 in my model. What do you think about that, Dustin, and what's your values?
I mean, Spieth's kind of he's a little tough to play in cash just because he does have a lot of validity to him. If he makes a cut, you're good, but he might blow up, on a Friday or a Thursday. So, obviously with the cash, you want guys that A, can score, but B, that don't really have a cliff that they fall off of normally. So, it's like somebody like Scotty's been really good this year in cash play because he's usually at a good price, the 9K range. He gets a lot of birdies and he makes a lot of cuts. So, that type of player, you try to get them. He comes in 9,600 this week. Will obviously be in play for me and my cash play. I try to hone down throughout the week to give a good solid core. I try to pick 4 golfers that I'm really sure are gonna make the cut, and then try to fit in what I can around them. And so I think the 9K range this week is going to be the building block. The upper range, I'm just not sold on those guys, being able to perform besides DJ, but in a cash play, DJ is going to be a little tougher because you might have to go down and get somebody, that's a little more risky. So
what do you think about starting cash with Henley, Scott, Grillo, McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, like McCarthy, we've touched on. We had him in our cash core last week. Great player to get in there because he's going to putt the ball so dang well, right?
Because if you go that 4 to start, that leaves you 15,600 left. So you got 7,800 apiece to round out your lineup.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean that's you can fit in a ton of good golfers that are still at that price range. So, yeah, I mean, get that core 4 that you're really solid about, and then fill in the blanks there with the best available.
I think a great way to start out GPPs is go Dustin Johnson, Scotty Scheffler, Molinari, and fill in the last 3. Because Molinari being priced at 6,600 gives you the salary relief to use Dustin Johnson. Scotty at 9,600, I think he's just as good as Hatton and Finau. And so you get a guy who's slightly underpriced against people who I think he's better than, the best golfer in the world, and then one of the top golfers in the world whenever he's in form at a discounted price because he hasn't played but one tournament in the last 9 months.
I like that. I like that build a lot.
So now I'll get into what y'all two were discussing a little bit earlier on Dustin loving Doc and you loving Denny. Doc
versus Denny. And I love Denny too. Like here's the thing, right? I like Denny. 7,900. I think he's got great value, but I think Doc is in a good spot too. Obviously, Sunday he didn't come through and win, but he's still got a top 5 finish. He had the 1 missed cut, but outside of that, he's played really well this year. So, I like Doc this week. 8,800 is getting a little up there, but I think there's a lot of value there.
So Dustin and I have had 2 head-to-head challenges, and now it's time for the lone DFS dad who has skirted around these head-to-heads to join the fray of Chris and Dustin going head-to-head.
Before we get there, so I actually have the hot peanuts, right, or whatever it is, these Comet peanuts that get hotter. But Price lost a bet to me, and we have yet to figure out.
Yeah, we had no one come up. Definitely not getting tattoos.
No, I said what he needs to do, not he needs a tattoo. So anyway, if you're watching, please leave a comment with some good advice on what Price should do since he lost.
We have 2 wagers, ours to figure out, and then y'all's this week.
Yep.
All right. Well, ours this week, if we do Doc and Denny, it's only fair that I get odds because Denny is 7,900, where Doc is 8,800. So
okay,
odds would be listen to the challenge. Gosh,
odds.
Just listen to the challenge. So whoever loses, so if I lose, which is obviously not going to happen, I have to give somebody a free weekly membership.
Okay.
If you lose, you got to give them a monthly membership.
Okay.
How about that?
I mean, that's. I mean, it seems like your odds are way more better. But
all right. Well, I'll chip in a little bit to make the odds a little bit different.
How about this? If Chris, you lose, you have to do a weekly plus one of the guys gets a free entry into the Millie Maker next week for $20.
And if Dustin loses,
he has to pay a monthly, the Millie Maker, and the $12 single entry.
Dang, man! Like this is getting pricey. Price doesn't even
Because
like.
we've been shitting on Dustin for a month, so let's just keep it going.
Price. I mean, we're already giving this guy like crazy odds because I got Denny McCarthy at 7,900.
We're just talking him up. DK points second.
I think okay. To scrap to 12, y'all both do the subscriptions plus the entry to the Millie.
Sounds good.
That's fine. We can do that. Yeah, virtual.
All right. Well, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at the DFS Dads. Those of you who have watched this far, like, thumbs up, leave a comment, tell us what we should do, and keep an eye out for all the free content we're going to put out over the next few days leading up to the Houston Open and Week 9 of NFL. And we will see you guys soon.